Hi, everyone. I'm Lesley Johnson, Senior Programmer with Planet in Focus, and joining me today from Montreal is Director of the film Humus, Carole Poliquin. Bonjour, Carole. Merci d'être ici avec nous. Hello and welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Your film Humus is about natural farming methods, but it also asks questions about how humans relate to the environment. What interested you in making a story about these ideas?
Yes, the first draft of the project was in 2012. It was in those years the government in Quebec was wishing to develop the north with mining industries, and that it had been a while that I was thinking about the concept of extractivism. I don't know if we say it in English.
Mm-hmm.
Extractivism.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also the intuition that the relationship we have to the natural world that leads us to dig the ground is the same in agriculture, the way we practice industrial agriculture. I had like an intuition without being able to express it as I could 10 years later, maybe. So that was this film that I wanted to make with mining and agriculture. And in 2015, it was the International Year of Soils. United Nations established it. And I learned then that we have about 60 years of cultivable soil, topsoils, left an average all over the planet. It was a shock for me to hear. I even didn't know that the soil, I knew it can become less fertile, less rich, but I didn't know the soil could disappear like that. How come we don't have this soil anymore? So I started a research about that, and I have done several films in my career denouncing situations, injustice, dysfunctioning of the economic and political system. So I was first thinking to make a film about this soil crisis, the soil depletion, go as I used to do all over the world and trying to show this crisis. But during the process of the research, I happened to read about regenerative agriculture. And that was a second shock, but a positive one, to think that, okay, when you understand how the depletion occurs, you don't want to stay powerless, to stay without solutions. So I found out that regenerative farmers are doing what all farmers all over the world should do to regenerate our soils, and not only the soil, because by regenerating soil, you also bring more water in the les nappes phréatiques, in down
the aquifers.
Yes, these aquifers. You solve. You are part of the solution to soil, to the water crisis. You're part of the solution for the climate crisis, because soil, after the oceans, are the second carbon sequestration place.
Yeah.
Okay, you can, the most life is made of carbon. So if you want to sequester carbon, we have to change agriculture, plant trees, as we already know, but agriculture might be a great part of the solution.
And then this led you to meeting Francois and Melina, who were the main characters in your story. And so what kind of attracted you to what they were doing?
I met them first of all through my assistant researcher, and she was they were her family farmers. She bought baskets every week from them.
Okay, yeah.
So she already knew them. And when I started talking about Sylvie, her name was Sylvie, about the living soils, she said, you should meet Francois and Melina. They are talking all the time about that, living soils, bacteria, fungus. They are very excited about this. So I wanted to meet those people, very as excited as I was by the understanding of how life works, how life originates, how life is perpetuated in the soils. So it was a great moment where we, during almost 2 years before I could finance the film, we have been meeting and talking all the time, visiting the farm and eating, talking hours together about this issue. And they were really, it's like, for me, it was really a, do we say like an epiphany or something strong that you discover suddenly how life works. How come we didn't at school? We know technical things, maybe we learn in biology courses, but it suddenly became for me as if the sacred character of life appeared very strongly to me. And I have done, and it's not religious. It's more like a spiritual vision of of the thing of life, but it brings us to the feeling that we need to protect it. We need to. We humans are not like. Outside nature, we are part of it. So how we co-evaluate. Francois mentioned that word several times in the film, because he plants indigenous trees, for instance. So he brought like naturally, without it's not an intellectual, and it's a practitioner. And one day he mentioned the co-evolution, and I start thinking, that's true. If everything exists today, it exists because it has co-evaluated with all of those pieces around. So we are all linked. So we need to protect and sustain, not sustain, and enrich this relationship with all our environment. We're not outside of nature. We are part of it and dependent, coexistence,
Interdependent.
dependency. It was like I am looking for my words, but something like wonderful. I rediscover something like the main energy in everything is this life that we are, when we fight for water, for climate change. We are fighting to maintain the conditions of that the planet remains habitable. We can still inhabit the planet by cohabiting the planet.
Yes, and it seemed like they were sort of on a journey to use many kind of different methods of farming, but it was very much kind of like a trial and error process for them. And there's some high stakes in that, because this is their livelihood also. And it's not an easy. So they're trying the no-tilling method and reintroducing more biodiversity in planting and adopting more native plants from the region. So I'm just wondering, how have they kind of continued on in their journey? Have they continued to find success in these methods, and are they still kind of thriving and attempting this kind of farming?
Yes, I can certainly say that the journey is going on, though it's very difficult because it's always the question, the financial question. As they mention in the film, in conversation with a friend of theirs, it's all the experiment is at their expense.
Sure.
Not only money, but time and the land. If they decide not to grow crops in cash crops
Yeah.
in
They also
part,
have so much space. Yeah.
yes, the usage of space, and
Mhm.
so it's, the film raises the question that if we want this kind of farmer to continue experiment and to continue, because they are the one who are in relation with the soil, and they know the land, they know the much more than bureaucrats who in their offices, they and their salary. There is one girl in the film who says, what price should we sell our vegetables if we would like to have the same salary than people working in mines?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we value so much the minerals that we extract from the ground and not the food that we are growing? So it's obvious that there is a kind of consciousness that we have to grow, to pay attention to the way our food is produced and the way the farmers are also exhausted by the work they do. But even even the conventional farmers are exhausted, are in debt. And I don't know in the rest of Canada, but I think it is in France also. The rate of suicide of the farmers, it's one of the profession, or maybe the profession, where the suicide rate is the highest. So
Yeah.
it tells us something about the what we give value to.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very sad, but very fair point. And it's difficult. And as you have mentioned, agriculture can be quite destructive and is leading to the erosion of soil and the collapse of pollinators and deforestation, as is brought up in your film. And so do you see that this style of farming that they're showing, and even with all of the difficulties that they face, is this paving the way for the future of farming? And what challenges do you think to have these practices more widespread in just how we do kind of like a bigger scale of agriculture?
Yeah, but I see two aspects maybe in your question. Francois and Melina are market gardeners, do we say? They
Mhm.
grow vegetables, and so it's not a home garden, so it's not so small scale, but it's still small compared to
Sure.
those growing corn and soya
Yeah.
and barley, and we say great big culture, big
Mhm.
crop. I don't know
Yeah.
the word,
Yeah.
but
The bigger
uh,
bigger agricultural kind of scale farm.
yeah,
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the the example being maybe corn and wheat, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah.
So at this scale, as Francois puts it, it's even easier though all this kind of agriculture, regenerative permaculture, do we say, are still marginal in our country and other countries as well. It's growing in importance, and it's in the film. It's only one example with a market gardener that we show, and it's very exhausting for them, because he says we have many crops having all different needs, and to grow, let's say, carrots, what is better to have grown the year before or in between as a green manure. But those who have hundreds of acres of wheat, of corn, they have only one culture to think what kind of green manure we do, what kind of culture intercalaire between the ranks, what we do to avoid monoculture. I don't think it's easy, but it's easier. Francois affirms that it's much easier for the farmers having a large number of acres. But in the world, maybe the other aspect of your question was that it's still marginal, but it is the way of doing agriculture that, as you said, it's paving the way for the future, and more farmers share their experience. There are groups you can, and also in holistic grazing systems, those who raise animals, cattle. It's also there is a way to organize the pasture that doesn't destroy the land. As we know in our history, animals and vegetables, vegetables, let's say, animals were, you could find it in the same farm.
Together, and I see.
More and more it became specialized, apart. So it's more difficult to reuse the manure and to see everything in a cycle. It's more difficult. But I think this is why I think we need like a financial support for the farmers who are not destroying but are regenerating our land for the future. And it's the only way, because even I met in a part of Quebec where we have the richest soil, the black soil in Montérégie, what we call is the region south of Montreal in the St. Lawrence Valley, where the Sea of Champlain Sea had spread 10,000 years ago. It led a very, very rich soil. Even that place, the soil is depleting. And I met a farmer, 60 years old farmer, saying, you see, when I was a kid, my field was equal to the road there. And today it's 1 meter below the road. Where have the soil gone? So if we start just sitting and realizing this simple fact that soil is going away with erosion, wind and rain erosion, we cannot stay les bras croisés.
Inactive.
We have to do something. It's the question of the survival of the not only the water and soil and with the biodiversity that comes with it. They are the elements making this planet inhabitable.
And so, my final question to you then is, what are you hoping that how do you think people should take action to help soil the health of soil and the planet, and help these types of practices to flourish?
I don't know if I am the good person to answer that, because some farmers, like Francois itself, doesn't believe in that the political support with the money that comes with that will come early enough to change, to avoid the worst for humanity. So he believes that we have to start organizing in small communities, self-sufficient, develop the relationship between the cities and the countryside, and have people maybe in these small communities, what they dream of is that they are workers and consumers at the same time. Some people, but it needs also a reorganization of the whole work society. We cannot, if when you work, you live in a city and you work 40 hours a week, how can you find time, and you will spend gas to go to the countryside? So it's a very complex question, but I think this should be in the agenda, the political agenda, much more than it is.
Yes.
So maybe our role, I could simply say that, and question the politicians we are in contact with, that we vote for or not for, and are elected, and challenge them to this situation, and try to bring the importance of it. 60 years of crops, 60 years of cultivable land left, and it's an average.
Yes.
So I think we should speak about that every day in the newspaper, and I hope the film will help spread the news. People are organizing kitchen screenings, or sharing the idea, organizing small committees, and the film is just that's why I do film also, to bring like little seeds, and just a pretext to meet together, watch a film, and discuss after, and the solutions will come.
Well, that's I mean, that's absolutely a very positive and wonderful way to think about it. And I wanted to thank you so much for our conversation today, and for your lovely film. And so thank you so much for your time, Carole.
Thank you, Lesley. It was very nice discussing with you. And I hope people will choose to watch the film while it is available during your wonderful festival. It's my second film at your festival.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, maybe 15 years ago, I had another one about the common good. It was.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, merci beaucoup, Carole.
Merci, Lesley.